Hey, little mama, looking good there. Got anything in that bag for me? Oh, don't ignore me, pretty, and smile. You too pretty to be wearing that frown. I absolutely hated it when my mother would send me to the store alone. I'd much rather she allowed my sister to go with me, or better yet, gone herself. Every day it was the same thing, being ogled by men who were old enough to be my father. It was disgusting, and they should have been ashamed, but I know they weren't. I never responded, not out loud anyway, but in my head, they get a mouthful. If you don't get your dirty, old, ugly behind self out my face, you're gonna wish you had, you old geezer. I walked as fast as my legs would carry me, and even though my apartment building was only half a block away, it felt like miles. I make certain to wipe away any traces of disgust from my face before I reach the front door. I knock on the door and my mother greets me with her usual warm smile as I hand her the bag and her change. Thank you for going to the store for me, she says. Once you get settled, finish your homework. I don't have no homework, I replied. She stops to look over her shoulder at me. Before she has a chance to correct me, I do it myself. I don't have any homework, I hear myself saying. You see, growing up, my mother stressed the importance of using standardized English. When my mother would overhear my siblings or myself using slang or a more relaxed form of English, she would quickly correct us, always reminding us that we would be judged by how we communicate with others. It was important to her that her children be able to show themselves in the best light possible to the outside world. As I walk into the room that I share with my sister, I can hear her chuckle under her breath, grateful that it was me who was in the hot seat this time and not her. I, on the other hand, spent the rest of the night wishing that it was her and not I. The next morning on the way to school, my friends and I laugh and joke. Typical preteen behavior. You stopping at the store? One of them asked me. Nah, I ain't got no money today, I reply, but quickly look over my shoulder, afraid that my mother could hear me at that very moment. As we approach the school building, each of us knows what we have to do. We were entering a place where Black English vernacular was frowned upon, a place where we were encouraged, no, expected, to use standardized English, and a place where, as young Black and brown children whose skin color placed us at a disadvantage, had better know what linguistic approach was appropriate to use and when. Good morning, girls, the principal greets us as we enter the building. Good morning, Principal Learner, we reply in unison. As each of us go to our respective classrooms, we know that we will not be able to socialize again until recess. As I enter my classroom, my teacher has already started the daily morning routine. We pass our homework to the front of the room and hang our coats up in the closet. As individual chatter starts to rise, she quickly gets us in line, and we know that we had better behave, or else instead of going outside for recess, we'd have detention. Mrs. Harrison was my favorite teacher. I'd had her in first grade and was lucky enough to have her again in fourth grade. She was very nice to the whole class, especially me. She even shared her Dipsy Doodle potato chips with me sometimes, which to this day is one of my favorite. Mrs. Harrison was the perfect teacher in my eyes, and she made learning fun. She was pretty too, and I remember wanting to be just like her. Everyone respected Mrs. Harrison, and we all loved her. The fourth grade classes were scheduled to go on a trip the following week, and the money was due. Mrs. Harrison asked if anyone had money for the trip. When no one raised their hand, she looked over her student list where she kept record of payment. Tisha, will you be joining us for the trip? She asked a classmate. I don't know, Mrs. Harrison. My mama don't get paid till Friday. We all stopped and snickered at Tisha. She knew better. As fun as Mrs. Harrison was, she didn't play when it came to speaking proper English in her classroom. She continued looking at Tisha, who either didn't notice or simply didn't care. Surprisingly, Mrs. Harrison just shook her head and continued on with the flow of the day. We went through our daily routine, the checking of homework, the lessons in ELA, math, science, and social studies, before we went to lunch. She told us if we behaved at the end of the day, she would have a treat for us. Of course, this excited us. We loved treats. But first, lunch. I'd get to see my friends again and have some real fun while we played outside. Anybody got a rope, Toya asked as we hurriedly headed to the playground. That was our favorite thing to do during our spare time, jump double dutch. I hadn't brought my rope that day, but another friend, Dana, had, and the three of us jumped and jumped for the entire recess period. I just learned how to do a new trick, and I was anxious to try it out. Since my mom didn't allow me to play outside on school nights, recess was the only time that I had. We girls jumped and laughed and sang the songs that accompanied the rhythm of our feet. All in together, girls. How you like the weather, girls? January, February, March, April. And one of my favorites, down, down, baby, down, down the roller coaster, sweet, sweet baby, I'll never let you go. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pow. Shimmy, shimmy, cocoa pop, shimmy, shimmy, pow. Grandma, sick in bed, called the doctor and the doctor said, let's get the rhythm of the head. Ding dong, let's get the rhythm of the head. Ding dong, let's get the rhythm of the hands. Let's get the rhythm of the hands. Let's get the rhythm of the feet. Let's get the rhythm of the feet. Let's get the rhythm of the hot dog. Let's get the rhythm of the hot dog. Put it all together and what do you get? Ding dong. Hot dog. Put it all backwards and what do you get? Hot dog. Ding dong. Jumping and laughing, we laughed and jumped, our braids and decorative hair beads flying in the wind, click-clacking together to match the sound of the jump rope on the pavement. We alternated turning and jumping until the whistle blew, signaling that it was time for everyone to go back inside. Dang, Wanda, you really been practicing. You was jumping so fast, I couldn't hardly turn no more. My arm's about to fall off, Toya exclaimed, with a huge smile and exaggerated movements to show the pain in her arms. The rest of the school day was pretty uneventful, except for the treat that Mrs. Harrison promised us. She brought us pretzel rods and fruit roll-ups from the school snack store, and we got a no homework pass for the night. That excited us more than the treats. When school dismissed, the walk home with my friends was full of jokes and laughter. Those of us in Mrs. Harrison's class were the happiest because we didn't have homework that night. When Mom got home that evening, she asked her usual question. Did you do your homework? I didn't get none, was my reply, which was met with her trademark stare that I knew meant that I had better correct my English immediately. As she's beginning to prepare dinner, Mom begins looking in the cupboards and the refrigerator. Oh, shoot, she exclaims, I'm out of eggs. Wanda, can you run to the store for me? Sure, Mom, I replied dryly. I quickly walked to the store because I want to get back and enjoy as much of my homework-free night as possible. I make it to the store without incident, and thankfully, the streets are pretty deserted. Walking home, however, the odds weren't stacked in my favor. Just as I hit the corner, I hear it. Hey, little mama, looking good there. Got anything in that bag for me? Oh, don't ignore me, pretty, and smile. You too pretty to be wearing that frown. Here we go again.